So what was the one aha moment that got me to 7 figures? All right, so today's question comes from Brandon, and he says, I'd like to know more about your aha moment when you realize the tweak you need to make in your day-to-day life to get you to where you are now. So that's a great question. Here it is. I call this the concept of good is good. So one thing I would do early on was I would take these systems and these scripts and I'd read books, and the books would say, hey, do it this way, say this, say that. It could be anything from marketing to sales to whatever, and there would always be like a formula, right? I would follow these formulas and I would do well. Don't get me wrong, they worked. They all honestly work if you do it well. But one day I realized that you can break away from the formula. In fact, one of my mentors, I had a conversation with him once and I said, hey man, I just realized that I followed this script and it worked, but I actually did like half of it wrong. And I just now realized it. And he said to me, well, that script is meant to where most people can get a result. But the bottom line is good is good. If you break away and it works, right? And so what I learned was that it doesn't matter what formula you follow, good is good. When I sit down and I create webinars, right? And that's how I sell most of my products and services, through a webinar, an online presentation. Sometimes I'll go way off script and I'll look back at it and maybe I'll watch it the next day and I'll say, that was totally off script, but man, it was good. And that's when I realized that good is good, because the number one webinar that converts the best for me, that literally blew all the others away, was one that was totally off script. In fact, a couple buddies of mine came over to my house, in this very room in fact, and they said to me, hey Dan, we would love to do something with you, we'd like to do a JV with you. We know you can solve some problems for our audience. And one of the problems they had was that they were Amazon sellers that wanted to move to Shopify, but they didn't really know how to make that transition or run Facebook ads or whatever. And so because years ago I had made the transition from a 6-figure Amazon store to a Shopify store, and I'd used Facebook ads to build that e-com business, I said, well, listen guys, look, I'm not a multi-millionaire e-commerce guy like you guys are, but I definitely can solve the problem of what you're talking about. And we can put together a training and we can sell it to your people. They're like, all right, well, let's plan it out. I said, hey, why don't we just do it now? What I did was I took a paper easel and I said, hold up your phone. We literally went live in their Facebook group and I went completely off script just because I had this great idea, right, of how to explain it and how to give value, and then ask for the sale. And then we went and we recorded the videos, and it was actually a pre-sale. We went and recorded the videos and sold it. And so they literally went live with just a crappy cell phone and just, no professional camera or nothing, just went live in the Facebook group, no registering for webinars or any of that. And I just completely off the top of my head taught, and it was completely off script, didn't follow any formula, but it was good. And we ended up doing $25,000 in sales in 2 hours. And literally we built, I had one of my assistants build the order page while I was in the middle of explaining it. I'm like, all right, and then they'd ask a question and I'd quickly text them, hey, build a quick order page. And literally built the order page while I was in the middle of doing it. The bottom line is good is good. Now, if you're brand new to this, if you're brand new to selling via webinar or whatever, I do recommend you stick to a formula. If you're brand new at sales, stick to a sales script. Go buy the Wolf of Wall Street books or whatever and stick to a sales script. But eventually you will develop skill, right? And you will develop yourself, and eventually you'll find ways to be unique and be good at what you do. And don't ever tell yourself that, ooh, that's off script, because bottom line is, if it's good, it's good. And that was my aha moment. That took me from making, $50,000 or $80,000 a month to having $350,000 months. And we're trying to crack 500 right now. So ever since I realized that good is good and I didn't hold myself down by scripts, my income has increased and increased and increased. And we actually just launched a webinar that's doing fantastic, and that one is totally off script. And so that's honestly the biggest aha moment I've had. I hope that answers your question, Brandon. Bottom line, become unique, and good is good. I hope you enjoyed this video. Listen, if you want me to answer your question, all you have to do is subscribe. If you are a subscriber and you ask a good question that I think people would benefit from, I will answer your question. But you must be a subscriber, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.